Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is my review on Run the World Season 1, Episode 2. Alright, so the scene starts off with Renee and her husband having sex. She's on top. She spins around trying to do reverse cowgirl, end up kicking him in the head, and which leads to like a tad bit of an argument. She called him a pussy because he was whining like, oh, you kicked me in the head, whatever. So the scene jumps from that to Ella and Sandy walking down the street, and this random pink guy, he's riding on his bike and he calls them the N-word. Now they pause for a minute and then they just started laughing. Like, it was the funniest thing in the world. Instead of chasing him down, because he wasn't riding fast, he was bogged down with all these bags and stuff hanging off his bike. So, instead of chasing him down, snatching him off, or cussing him out, they just laughed at it and jumped in the Uber and went on about their business. So we had Whitney. Whitney was at work talking to her fiance Ola on the phone. Now, they had a dinner date scheduled for later on so that she can meet with his aunts. Like, his aunts really wanted to meet her and everything and discuss the wedding. And her boss comes in, and so she gets off the phone. Oh, she, during the conversation, when they were, get ready to get off, she's like laying it on thick. Oh, I love you. I really, really love you. I want you to know that, I love you. And I'm like, is it guilt because you slept with Community P and Chris? Or are you trying to convince yourself? Because it was just kind of over the top. But anyway, so her boss ends up coming in, and he tells her, we got the clients in town and he wants to meet up later on, have dinner to discuss, accounts or whatever. And so there were two co-workers in there with Whitney. And one of them, the guy was like, oh, I'll do it. Whitney has something to do. And she was like, yeah, I had dinner date tonight, just to go over my wedding, whatever. So the boss was like, look, this client wants you. He requested you. So you're going. And, it is what it is. And the thing was, she ended up going to the dinner date with the client, but the other two everybody was still there. The other two clients were there anyway. But anyway, so Ella, Sandy, and Renee meet up later on. And Renee is talking about, divorcing and all of that. And Sandy was like, okay, what did he do now? So apparently it's always something going on. And, so she basically explained that, so she explained the whole sex situation, where he was whining or whatever. And then she went into how she just felt let down. Here he quit his job to chase his dream of managing this band. He took out all of their money. So they had this mutual funds account. He took all their money out to invest in this band. So, buying equipment and traveling and all of the stuff that's pertaining to this band, he took the money out. But he's not bringing any money in. So she was, just going through all of that. And I guess the whole sex scene just added on to it. You pissed off and like any and every little thing just add on to it. So then she started talking about, she asked Sandy. Sandy had no shades. And she asked Sandy, like, what is, because Renee was just in her feelings. Like, every time somebody would try to talk, like Whitney tried to call, and she was like, look, we ain't got time to be talking about your wedding. I'm talking about divorce right now. And Sandy was talking about, dating pink guys. And then you had the bartender that was all up in their conversation. So she was like, look, this is all about me right now. I listen, I need all the attention on me because I'm going through it. So she asked, she lightened up a little bit. She asked Sandy, why did she have on shades? Because they were inside. And so Sandy was like, she's still trying to make up for what happened at the dance class with William's daughter, Amari. And so she was like, I'm still trying to make up for it. So I called myself, doing little perineum, little action or whatever with her tongue. So they were like, what? And so she said, as she was doing it, her words, she was like, he pooted in her face. So I still don't know how that ended up. Cause first she said she had a pink eye. But I'm like, okay, him pooting in your eye. I still don't understand. Unless something came out with that poot, let's there was some. Unless there was some substance with that gas, I don't understand. Even him farting. I'm saying farting in your eye. That's not gonna irritate it. So that yeah. So they were like, what? And so she was like, yeah. She said then. Oh, so then he sat on her face. She's like, she really tried to get into it, and he sat on her face, and that's when he put it in her eye. I'm thinking something else, but whatever. So Renee, she lightened up a little bit. It was funny. They laughed, all of that. So one thing okay, at the restaurant or bar, whatever, I think it was a restaurant. This is where they try to do a little comedy relief, if you will. So Renee, she's back and forth talking about her marriage, and she had like the drink. So then she gets up and she's in the middle of the room, getting loud, and she lays out in the floor. And I mean, I see where they're trying to go with the comedy and get a little laughs, but to me it felt flat. It was like it was just unnecessary. Like the scene was actually pretty good, because with the way she was talking to her husband and the way she was explaining it, it wasn't funny, but it was like, okay, it wasn't that deep where you're like, oh my god, this is serious, her and her husband. It was a little funny. I just feel like they just go with the flow and not focus too much on, all right, fall out on the floor and yell and roll around, like, because number one, it's not realistic, and number two, it's an overkill. So anyway, the bartender that was talking, that was all in their conversation, that was talking to them earlier, Ella ends up going home with him. Ella, I'm gonna need you, because now you done already hooked up with Ryan, the Asian guy from the club. Now you with the pink guy from the bartender. Like, I get it, but yeah. Like, can she have a little more substance? Like, you just randomly hooking up with people. So anyway, so she wanted to, so she, the pink, because I think she said she had never been with a pink guy either. So she goes home with him. And while they're in the middle of sex, she's like rubbing his hair, running her fingers through his hair, and she's talking to herself, and she's like, "Is this jail?" Like she's getting turned off. She's like, "Is this jail?" And then she tells him to like flip her over so they can do it doggy style, and he's talking to her. So he's like, yeah, take this cock and all of that. And she's like, so she's still talking to herself in her head, and she was like, cock, don't say that. Say dick, But of course, he's pink, so he's constantly saying cock. And the bed that they were on, the headboard was a mirror. And so she's looking at, them in the mirror, and she's just like, I can't do this. So she stops him. She gets up, she's grabbing her clothes, and he's looking like, what in the world's going on with you? And she was like, I gotta go, thanks. And she leaves. So later on, all the girls are together, and she's telling them about her experience with this guy. And she was like, I don't know. It was just something about, him saying cock. And, when I saw us in the mirror, she was like, it just felt so slavey. Like, the masters like raping or having sex with the slave. she was like, it was just so slavey. Like I just couldn't do it anymore. It was just turn off. So they're all laughing about that, and then Whitney. So in the midst of all of this, them laughing, Whitney comes out and she's like, yeah, I don't think I should get married. Random as hell, but she throws it out there, and they're looking like, what? And then it goes off. Now you can kind of tell from the club scene in the first episode when Whitney was talking about how basically she felt she threw her 20s away with this one guy. Like, this guy she's about to marry, he pretty much was her first, real boyfriend, and she was playing wifey even then, cooking, cleaning, sex, all of that. And so she felt like she missed out. And that's what led her to sleeping with Community Ping Chris. And then with her going, I guess with her career, because when she was at dinner, oh my gosh, okay, how can I forget? At dinner, her phone is going off. It's Community Ping Chris. So I'm thinking, like, you gave him your number? Like, this was supposed to be just a one night stand, a hookup, just to get it out your system. But you gave this dude your phone number, knowing that your boyfriend, that your fiance can see it at any given. Like, that was just dumb. But he kept calling her, and she wouldn't answer. So then he ended up texting her, and he was like, what's up? I haven't heard from you. Are you ghosting me? Like, hit me back. And she was just trying to ignore it. So then her fiance Ola called her. So she, excused herself, and he was like, where are you? You standing me up? Like, my aunts are here waiting to meet you. You said you were going to be here. What's going on? And she's like, I had to do this business meeting, and I'll be there. So he was like, are you coming? She's like, yeah, I'm going to be there. So when she goes back to the table, the client is like, yeah, so where are we going after this? Like, he wanted to go out, like bar hop basically, and have drinks after dinner. And she was like, okay, maybe one. And they end up going to some club and having drinks. But it's clear that Whitney feels like she's missed out on things. She's career driven, so there's gonna be, late nights, or these last minute dinner meetings, and just basically entertaining the client, which can go for hours and hours and hours. And then on top of all of that, it sounds like she wants to, be out there, maybe date a little bit. So she's struggling with that. So they never showed her coming to dinner to meet with her fiance and his family. She was at a club with the client and her other coworkers. So anyway, that is it. This episode, I would say it was okay. Again, with the whole comedy part, I just feel like they're trying too hard, and it's definitely not needed, in my opinion. But it's still a good show. I like it. I'll continue to watch it and see where it goes. But so far, so good. I do like the show. And that's it, you guys. That, like I said, is a 30-minute show, so it's not a whole lot to recap or review, because they jump from scene to scene. Like, the scenes are very, very choppy and short. But anyway, so that is my review on Run the World Season 1, Episode 2. And until next time, guys, take care.